I feel like you have to enjoy your life and go and do things that are I don't want to say a distraction, but like a nice escape from this every week. There's a lot that goes into the racing thing, and I think you have to have that way to escape and let your mind rest a little bit. Look, the accident could have happened tripping downstairs or on a jog or anything. And snowboarding is something that I've been doing for a long time. I'm comfortable doing it. I wasn't out doing anything that was wild or crazy. I don't have a cool story to tell. It was just that perfect storm that could have happened at any point in time, honestly. So it's one of those things that I've used as a training tool over the years as well. No different than riding bikes or any of the above. So I think it's a bit. I don't agree with that viewpoint of, well, you shouldn't have been doing this or you shouldn't have been doing that. I feel like I make decisions with my career in mind first, and I always have. And this was no different. It was just a perfect storm and an unfortunate accident.
Thank you. I had calls, as you can imagine, from a lot of your fans last night who are really excited to have you back. They want to know how hard it was to be out of the car mentally, especially initially. And is it too soon? Please tell Chase, we don't want him to come back too soon. They really care a lot about you. How did you decide when to come back? How hard was it for you? And maybe a message to the fans that are calling and asking.
Yeah, well, listen, I think to the fans that have called in to, your show or, reached out in any form, right? I haven't seen all of them, but I certainly appreciate it. And it was very evident, from the get-go that your true fans are just cared about you and your well-being and are looking forward to having you back whenever that is. And I think that's been one of the best parts about this whole process is from the fans to our partners to Rick, to everyone at HMS, to my teammates there, to my peers at the racetrack, other competitors. Everyone has just been nothing but supportive and are behind me 100% and everything that has gone on and just want me to get back to feeling good before I come back to the racetrack. There's not been a rush on it. Everyone has been just very supportive and very positive about the whole situation. So for that, I'm very grateful. I think you have to step back and look at the situation. And I think everybody needs to recognize I wouldn't go this weekend if I didn't feel like I could do it. And ultimately that's my decision. The doctors and I have been in conversations for the whole time, really. And we just feel like I'm to a point now where the integrity of the bone is to a point where I'm not going to hurt it in that manner. And it's just about building that strength back and getting to a point where you're comfortable enough with your range of motion and things of that nature to get in there and do a good job. And I feel like this was the right week to do it. I feel good. And, the doctors got to a point where they were comfortable with it and they left it up to me to decide when I was ready. And, we had a good couple of days in the sim, and that led to building some confidence and wanting to go ahead and move forward and go to Martinsville.
Chase, you just kind of touched on it. The days in the sim, when athletes are coming back from injury, they have the opportunity to practice their discipline and that sort of thing. Did you experience any kind of discomfort at the sim, and does that give you enough proper feedback on your leg to feel good? Because Martinsville will be demanding with the tightness and the short track aspect of the track.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'd be lying if I said it wasn't going to be tough. I mean, it's going to be tough. I mean, I sat around, I was non-weight bearing for a number of weeks. So when you're not using a muscle on your body, you lose a large percentage of your muscle mass in just the first couple of weeks. So all those things are very normal. So yeah, it's going to be tough for sure. But I feel like I'm to a point where I'm comfortable to go do it. I think I can go do it. We'll have Josh up there and he's going to be hanging out and around, in case I get to a point where I get uncomfortable or I have pain, all those things I didn't experience yesterday. I felt really good driving, and just all the normal things post surgery I feel like I have going on, and nothing beyond that. So that's why we made the decision. And like I said, Josh is going to be up there to help us out. If I get to a point where I don't feel confident or don't feel comfortable in running, then he can jump in and help. But as of now, I feel good about it.
Hey, Chase, I know you probably wanted to get back as soon as the doctor said you were cleared, but this next stretch of races, you've won at each of the 4 next tracks. Was there any extra motivation to get back for this stretch, or did you have a race circled that was kind of your goal to be back by? No,
I honestly didn't even know that. So that's that's a good question and a good thought. But that didn't go into my decision. When all this happened, and just in talking to the doctor and things post surgery, I knew that it was going to be about this time. I knew that it was going to be around Martinsville, around Talladega, which frankly, I don't think would have been my first 2 choices if I could have picked them. Based on, the braking pressure at Martinsville, and then obviously your risk of high impact at Talladega. But yeah, things progressed really well. And, all of the decisions were based off direction directly from the surgeon and the doctors and everyone that has been involved this whole time. So the way I look at it is those people know a lot more about bones and injury and surgery and the rehabilitation aspect of it than I do even now or ever will. So at their direction, they were comfortable. And as long as those guys are comfortable, then I'm comfortable. And when you're working with great doctors and people that have taken such good care of me over the last 6 weeks, it helps me have a lot of confidence in the decision that the decisions that they make and the decisions that they then put in my hands to make on my end too. And all those things being said, I just, I feel confident in the group of people that I've been working with, and they all led to going here and now. And so here we go.
Thank you.
We'll go next to Deb Williams. Go ahead with your question, Deb.
Hi, Chase. It's nice to have you back.
Thanks.
You said the break was closer to your knee area. Since Dr. Beaver with Ortho Carolina and Charlotte, knees are his specialty, and he's the Hendrick Motorsports doctor. Was he in communication with them, or why did you elect to remain there for your rehab before returning in March?
Yeah, so no, I didn't have any dialogue with I mean, obviously I work with the Ortho Carolina guys through HMS, and they've been open to helping as much or as little as I need. Fortunately, I was in a place where I thought that the Stedman Clinic out there in Colorado is a very well-known orthopedic surgery center, and had been aware of some other athletes in different disciplines having surgeries there and even traveling there to get the surgery done. So a combination of that, a combination of some local folks in the area that I personally know, and just building that confidence and knowing that was the right place. And I think some of it too is just kind of a feeling. Like it was just, to me, it was the right place. It was obviously you don't ever want to have that happen, but to have it happen and have access to a facility like that, I thought was very, very grateful for that. So it just felt like the right place for me. And at the time I thought that was going to be, not only as good of a location to get the surgery done, but then I thought the rehab center and how closely they work with the clinic, I thought that was going to be my quickest road back and the best road back for my long-term health too. So all those decisions were made with my own, by me, with my health in mind, and what I felt like was going to be the best thing for me now and down the road. So part of it, was professional. Part of it was just that personal feeling and what you think is right.
Thank you. Nice to have you back.
Thanks.
All right, we'll take our next question from Stephen Toronto. Go ahead with your question, Stephen.
Chase, you referenced Talladega and the increased risk of impact there. There have been a couple times in the past where drivers returning from injury at Talladega have taken a cautious approach and maybe started the race, but then handed it off to a relief driver. I know you mentioned that Josh is going to be on standby this weekend. Is there any contingency plan for potentially taking a different approach to Talladega depending on how this weekend goes, or are you planning to be full go from this point onward?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of it depends on this weekend. I anticipate things to be fine and to continue forward next weekend. But look, this whole process has been week to week for quite some time, and I think we're in a position where we can do whatever we think is best for my health and for the team's success, and we're going to make that decision. I don't know what that is right now or today, but we're going to focus on Martinsville right now. Got a tough race ahead, tough weekend up there. Getting me back in the saddle and getting back in the swing of things. So my focus is there right now, and if we'll assess how I feel Sunday night, how I feel Monday, and look, if I'm feeling good for after the race this weekend, then I anticipate I'm gonna go next week back to normal. If there's something other than that, then we'll reassess and go from there.
Cool. Thanks, Chase.
Yep.
We'll take our next question from Davey Siegel. Go ahead with your question, Davey.
Hey, Chase, good to see you back. I'm wondering how long you anticipate it'll be to get back into quote unquote race shape that you were in kind of before the injury, and if you think missing out on the first handful of races with the new short track aerodynamic package is going to put you at a significant deficit this weekend.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's definitely, I've tried to stay working out, as much as I can. Obviously, my legs were a big part of my routine and the things that I like to do to get my heart rate up and to work on those things. But yeah, there's other ways you can do it. And the physical therapists that I've been working with have really kind of helped guide me in a direction to try to stay on top of that stuff. I'm certainly not, doing the things that I would normally do. But I think I'm in a position where I'm comfortable to go, and I think I'll be fine from that standpoint. And we'll just have to work through it. I don't know what the timeline will be to, going on runs or going on a bike ride. I don't know what that's going to look like just yet. I would imagine I'm still a little ways off from those type of activities, but yeah, we'll just, assess it as it comes.
Thank you.
Take our next question from Dustin Albino. Go ahead, Dustin.
Hey, Chase, we saw you in the booth virtually at COTA. But how did you experience the other 5 races, and how tough was that, seeing Josh or Jordan in it?
Yeah, it was good. I appreciate Fox having me. They were first class and how that was. And there was probably too many of us in the booth that day, but it was, nice to be there, and nice of them to, want to include me. That was cool, I thought. But yeah, I just watched the rest of them on TV, like everybody else. And that was really about it. I mean, I certainly had my little station where I had a lot of the things that go on behind the scenes and conversations amongst our team. But just from a broadcast standpoint, I watched it on Fox or FS1 or whatever, like the normal, broadcast would be.
Thank you.
All right, take our next question from Barry Richmond. Go ahead, Barry.
Good afternoon, Chase. How are you?
Good, thanks.
They've already touched on several of my questions, but you mentioned just a few moments ago that you were not able to do the normal activity of runs, biking, and things of that nature. What have you been able to do to maintain that shape?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of it so far in my process is, I've been focused on upper body, right? My arms are fine, and my core's fine and things like that. But from a PT standpoint, it's been just trying to get that range of motion back, back in your knee. That's a very common thing with that injury, getting your quad to fire, getting your patella to move and get that stuff back going. It's I've never had a surgery, so it's been pretty eye-opening just at how some of that stuff works and how your body reacts to being cut on. It was not super fun. So yeah, just going at their guidance, honestly. And I've had had a great group, man. I've got to know some of these guys, and certainly can call a couple of them friends now, and it's been obviously not fun, but looking back on it, I think those relationships that you gain over the years will be something that you respect and appreciate down the road.
Thank you.
All right, we'll circle back to Bob Pockris.
Yeah, Chase, went right after your injury, you're assuming taken to the hospital. Are you thinking, can I walk again? Are you thinking, can I race again? Are you thinking, how am I going to tell my team? Am I going to tell Mr. H? Like, can you kind of take me through what your emotions and thoughts were right after the injury?
Yeah, well, I think me. I don't get super up or super down for the most part. But I kind of called it like I saw it. I knew when I got hurt that it was not good, and I knew that pretty quickly. So I knew that those conversations were inevitably going to happen in the next couple of hours. I didn't want to have those conversations for sure, but it was just something that had to be done, and I was just super honest and straight up with everyone. I told Alan exactly what was going on. I told Rick exactly what was going on. I said, hey, this is what happened. This is what I'm dealing with. I talked to both of them while I was in the ER, and I said, hey, I don't have all the answers yet, but I don't think this is good, and I think you need to be looking at getting somebody to fill in this weekend, because I really don't think I'm going to be able to get to Vegas by in the morning, and I don't know that I'm going to be able to drive. But I'll let you know, obviously, as soon as I get x-rays back and get information, I'll share. And I did. And it was very transparent. It was not anything, I've tried not to be dramatic about it. I just told him like it was. And, I knew my knee was messed up. I can't say I ever had the thought of not walking again. I didn't think it was that severe. I mean, I think it could have been a lot worse. But I certainly knew that it wasn't right, and that it was going to probably take surgery, and to what extent it was, obviously I didn't know at that point in time, and was just hoping for the best. But whatever it was going to be, it was going to be. It was done at that point, right? So I was more just thinking about tackling what it was, and doing what the doctors told me to do to get back to 100% as soon as I could.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to go to Steve Moulton.
Hey, Chase, appreciate you doing this. From the time that the injury took place, days or weeks, do you know how long of a pause you had without getting behind the wheel of a car? And was that the longest you'd ever been without getting behind the wheel?
Well, it was, it was right there at the beginning of March. So you're, over a month since then, but our off season's longer than a month. I didn't race anything over the winter this year. So I went from Phoenix to Daytona, without being in the car. We didn't get any off season tests this year, just with the way the OEM hands out tests and the way that cycled through our group at HMS. I didn't have any tests or anything. So I went from Phoenix last November to Daytona 500. And that was longer than this. So I guess I've been out of the car longer than that, but it does kind of feel like an off season a little bit, not quite that long, but it has a similar feeling to me, just because, Daytona is not really a real downforce racetrack. So I really only ran Fontana, had one weekend at it, and then a 6-week break. So kind of like restarting the year for us. And obviously, we're in a position where we have to win. So just fresh start.
All right, we'll go to Jordan Bianchi.
Hey, Chase, thanks again for the time. When you look at coming back here, making the playoffs, getting in on points is probably on.
We can't hear you anymore.
Jordan, are you there?
Chase? Yep, sorry.
Yeah.
Chase, what is your approach going the rest of the way to make the playoffs? I mean, obviously getting in on points is probably not going to happen, so you're going to have to win. Does that make you more aggressive? Do you go, how does that change for you?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't even looked at the points. I have no idea how far back we are, but I just assumed that wasn't even possible. But Yeah, I mean, I think for us, we're in a position where we're going to have to win. That's at least how I'm looking at it, how I've been thinking about it. Ever since this happened, I figured you miss a few weeks and you're pretty much going to have to win. So yeah, that's how I'm looking at it. I don't think I really changed my approach. Does that change how we call races from a strategic standpoint? Yeah, it probably does. But does it change how I drive or how I set, how I want the car to be set up for the weekend? No, I mean, I think we're always out there trying to win events, but I certainly think it can change your play as far as a particular race day. We see guys, shorten stages to try to get the win or, whatever, going for points. So obviously we don't need to go for points. So anytime you have those decisions to make, the decision is going to be very easy. You play the long game and try to win the event.
All right, we'll go to Claire.
Thank you. Chase, when you were out initially, drivers hate to be out of their race cars, right? And you've been around a long time and, the most popular driver, et cetera. Was it mentally tough to be out of your car? And then a lot of people asking about Josh Berry. Will he get a chance? Should he get a chance? What did you make of what Josh Berry did? And did you have that point in the beginning where it kind of made you crazy or it bothered you so much to be out of your car?
I don't know that it ever made me crazy, but it certainly was odd. I'm not going to lie, to watch your car go around the track and it have your name on it and watch, your guys and everybody there and you're the only piece missing, of what was normal. So there was certainly an aspect that was definitely strange. That became more normal. I guess you kind of got over that a little bit as time went on. But yeah, that I think that's just something that seeing that for the first time was a bit weird, but it definitely I got used to that over the course of the last 6 weeks. Yeah. And look, as I said earlier, I think I said on here, but I think Josh has done a really good job. I thought Jordan did a great job. And those are really tough things to jump in there and have to fill in like that and do it on short notice, like all the above, like that's difficult and probably more difficult than people give them credit for. But I hope that, I'm not sure what Josh's future plans are or what he has in the works behind the scenes, but, I would assume that he wants to go cup racing one day. If the opportunity and the right opportunity presents itself, he's done a great job with the opportunities that he's had at JRM. And I thought he did a great job with the opportunity he had to drive with our group. And, I told him, I asked him how one of the races went and he said, those guys are so good. I said, I've been trying to tell everybody that for 8 years, how good they are. And I don't do anything special. I just have a really good team. And I said, I've been trying to tell everybody that for a long time and nobody listens. So I'm glad to see that somebody else gets to witness that firsthand. And it's been a pleasure working with him. And I hope that if he has something in the works or if he has aspirations down the road to go cup racing, I hope that those solid runs that he had helps propel him and gets him the opportunity that he deserves.
Well, welcome back. Thank you. Appreciate that.
All right, we're going to take 2 more questions. We're going to go to Kelly and then we're going to close with Carla. Go ahead.
Thanks. Chase, on the competition side, you were talking earlier about how physically tough it's going to be to come back this weekend, but competition wise, do you expect to come back and not miss a beat after having obviously gotten out of a rhythm the last couple of weeks? Or are you going to give yourself a little bit of a grace period to kind of get back up to speed, so to speak?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really have the answer to that, honestly. And I think it's going to be tough. What challenges are going to be presented this weekend? I don't 100% know until I get there and kind of get going through it. But anytime you miss a period and your competitors are sharpening your skills or their skills and you're not, yeah, I do think that's you've missed out for sure. The good news is, as Josh alluded to, our team is really talented and we got a great group. So I think if we have our ducks in a row and we're prepared, I think we can go and jump in and have a really solid run. And, that's obviously my goal. And, we'll just have to get up there and see what the challenges are, what they bring. And whatever it is, we're going to work through it and continue to fight and make the most of not only this weekend, but the weeks to come. And, we're going to have about 17 races or so, 16, 17 races, something like that to get a win. So got plenty of time. Just gotta get after it and execute at a high level. And I think we're very capable of doing that.
Hey Chase, I know some other drivers in the NASCAR Cup Series have had injuries before. Did you reach out to anybody when you were injured to kind of see what their process was like to get back in the car?
Yeah, I talked to Kyle Busch a good bit through through that. We've texted back and forth some, and just kind of quizzing him. Which his injury was much different than mine, and way worse too. I think was a good bit worse. They were just different, but I do think his was worse and the break and things. But yeah, just kind of quizzing him on, what, we worked with different doctors, right? So just kind of quizzing him on what his guys were telling him and comparing that with what I'm being told and just gathering information for myself personally, and just to understand kind of what he went through, that rehab process, how he felt when he was getting back in the car, what things he was looking for, what was comfortable, what wasn't, if anything, and just kind of talk through as much of that as I can, just to gather info. Like I said, very different injuries, but always good to get a second, opinion on a somewhat similar situation.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, Chase, we appreciate your time here with us this afternoon, and we look forward to seeing you back at the track here this weekend at Martinsville.
Cool. Thanks, guys. Have a good one.